She would say that she always wanted to sleep with me in my bed. She would say that she couldn't be with anybody else. She would say that it was as if she made the girl eat the underwear. Except I said that, not her. Because sometimes I feel like people make things seem odd to keep the attention off things that are really actually wrong in their life. And I think that if there was anything that I could have said to change the outcome of what happened, I would have already had said them. And if I could go back to that classroom and retake that class, I would definitely do it, and she wouldn't. And is it possible that there was so many people that were committing sexual acts or sexual crime around me and my family in that area? And considering the crime rate there compared to here, as this being one of the highest crime rates in America, and them still having a crime rate twice as high. A lot of her arguments were against white people, but it was almost as if it was a tactic of like disguised defense. She was trying to defend herself by using reverse psychology about the subjects. I don't regret talking to her all the time. I just regret entertaining her. I don't feel like she deserved attention. Coming from someone that doesn't even like attention. I think that her family's horrible. It's like they were undercover police in her house, and that's how she used to describe it. So I could understand if I were subject to being blamed for shit that was similar to the shit that she did. But in order to prove that that's not necessarily who I am or the way that I think, she thought that celibacy was the fucking answer to everything. Like, it's a personal decision, but it's not something that's gonna solve your problems when your character is fucked up. It might help you clear your head and get a better judgment of how to deal with things, but it's not like it was gonna change the way that she thought of me, whether I had ever even had sex or not. For all that she fucking knows, none of it was true. Because she wasn't there. Technically. But rationally speaking, I wasn't doing it for the better of the people. I was doing it because it was something that I wanted to do. And it made me feel better and less of a subject. I'm not gonna deny who I am or the decisions that I've made. And I wouldn't need approval. I wouldn't expect or ask for approval from someone else's family. She would say things like that she wanted to eat grass. I don't necessarily tolerate people that do evil shit in my life. And I didn't like it when I came through the window and I saw her in the bed with my sister. Granted, they were on the tablet. I was just like, well, if we're competing about how extreme we can take things when it comes to accusing people, I happen to be a fucking class A lawyer in the subject. I'm not gonna bring her to any conclusion that, Austin, what the fuck are you doing? I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna cause her to come to a conclusion that's gonna change the way that I feel about her. So it's like, I don't approve of the way that she treated people or the way that she thought of herself in comparison to other people. But I'm not God to say that I can change her mind or cause her to recollect anything that would ever be more important to her than her ambition to hurt people's fucking feelings in a way to make her feel like she was more worthy than someone else, or necessarily everyone else. She would ask me about Thomas all the time. And I would kind of tell her, like, for someone so reluctant to cause trouble, he wanted people to see him in the most troublemaking, degrading way. And it wasn't trouble so much as strife that he liked to implement. she was very interested in the course I was in. I can't get this to stand up. I don't have a particular image in which that I'd like to be thought of, and I don't expect gratitude from dysfunction. So if anything was considered a malfunction, I would definitely say it was a matter of high impact misunderstanding. I don't want to be a person that's known for stalking everything one person does, or sleeping with all of their boyfriends, or talking trash about them to all of their friends. These were all of the characteristics that she had. She was very embarrassing to be with in public. It was as if she was pretending to be a child all the time. I don't fucking aspire to be someone that's popular because they're friends with someone who's popular, or because they're cool. I said, well, the only reason that I'm popular is because all of my friends are popular. She didn't understand, like, she didn't get that. My parents always had high expectations for me, and it was always more important to be popular than it was to be fucking on a roll. until grades were counted for college credits. You know, it was more important to fight for our rights and have values stronger than a white woman's approval, who has the same characteristics that she does, and only so. There's no one that she aspired to be like there's nobody that she ever looked up to that she would. I would always find, like, notice things about people, necessarily, not necessarily find, but I would notice things about people that I would like. I would like, not necessarily pinpoint things, because it wouldn't make note of it in my head, but for me to like a person or want to be around them, they had to have certain aspects of themselves that were valuable to me. And it wasn't a matter of like a person being on a scale where it could mean that they were worth more or less depending on anything, but who they choose to be, the way that they choose to deal with things, and the way that they care for people, and honesty probably would be the most important. Most people don't really care about it. They care about having something to say regardless of what it is, or why they're saying it, or who they're directing it to. And just because she doesn't like sushi doesn't mean I'm gonna stop eating Japanese. That's all I'm saying. And things like that would make her extremely mad. And like, she had this high respect for physical pain. She thought that pain meant that everything was going to be fixed, and that if somebody could feel pain, then they could be perfect. She always wanted to be the inflictor. And she loved to create situations that she would consider poetic, that she would call people victims. Mm. My god, my ears. It's like this. This is a sign of being haunted. It was recorded in the 1800s. So I decided to make a video diary. And I feel like something is bouncing off of every piece of glass in this room. And I keep hearing sounds underneath my bed. I'm very picky about the people that I keep around me and the type of things that I let in my life and that I let concern me. I remember telling Alexia that I was gonna take my girlfriend to church with me. And Amy would always talk about how much she fucking hated the idea of church and she would never ever go. And that one day she told me that if Alexia had never went to church with me, that she would have. And that's why she never went to church with me. And, I found that ironic. Because I was like, we didn't hold hands at church. She's not my girlfriend, she's just my best friend. She was like, so you have a girlfriend? So kind of. She's like, what is in an open relationship? And I said it was none of her business. She got mad. Thomas always insisted that his dad was a Satanist, and Amy thought that made him the most interesting person in the world, in turn making me the most interesting person in the world for having these friends with these theories. But I didn't try to be a better person for her. I was a better person for her. That was the difference. But she begged the question, including the fact and creating the fact that there was a difference between me and whatever kind of friendship she had with her other friends. But for you to say that you're my friend and you would have slept with my boyfriend while I was with him and deem yourself God by saying that you know was someone who doesn't even like you. What? I wouldn't put myself in a position where I felt like I needed to be subject to somebody who was going to force me to be a person that is good. In a sense of quality. So if that means laughing at the things that anger me because it brings me reassurance that things will turn out for the better and not for someone's fucking will. I can hear Dominic screaming at my dog right now. It's just, I'm not gonna use words baffling, words like baffling back to back, but she told me I could at least try to be myself before I rely on relationships. I think another person could make me any less myself. To hurt someone. You know, if it means protecting someone. So it's not against the laws of nature. But she wouldn't know that. Because she doesn't value nature, she therefore doesn't study it. These videos are not as long as I expected them to be. She said that she bought a car and it was a siren. I was like, what are you missing? She goes, I just miss you. When we used to hang out, but I have a boyfriend now. We can never hang out anymore. But at this point, it wasn't even her. She bought that car and she went out that night. I'm not a dog that's gonna let somebody fucking name me and then that's what she did, you know? I was like, you should try this shampoo and conditioner. I really like it. But I don't use it anymore. But I have another brand that I really like. She was like, well, it dries my hair out, and she would complain about it. And anything that I ever suggested, she would complain about it. And she would insist that she was like an animal as a personality type. And that her body was like a doll. And anything could live inside of it. And I tried to explain to her that, a doll doesn't have a hygiene routine, a doll doesn't have feelings, and a doll doesn't have a fucking makeup routine. she insisted that I was like a doll. And she would say crazy things like that my father was causing my mother to like go through psychosis and blaming everything on me. I just fucking insisted that whatever it was that made her so angry probably had something to do with a connection that she didn't know about in our families or something. And she didn't have the idea. And she like she'd suggest me to be friends with certain people, and then she'd go and text them, and I'd say, I don't invite anyone to be my friend. I just have certain people that I kind of consider my friend. But it's not like anyone's going out of their fucking way to ruin their lives or anything like that in order to hurt anybody. If she was able to talk to so many people and hang out with them, so I didn't expect anything bad to happen or anything like that. My mom always like hung out with her friends. She would talk shit a lot in front of me about a lot of people that would be around her, and I kind of just noticed that my mom had certain values that other girls were envious of, and it would make them want to learn from her. And sometimes when they felt like they weren't able to achieve something that she was, it made them less valuable in terms of their motivations to do things for other people's approval. But I didn't ever share the same qualities. And I didn't have the same interests. A lot of them lacked interest in general. But overall, it taught me to grow to know my value and not to ever give someone a reason to talk about me like that. And I knew that when she started talking about me in a negative perspective, that most of what she would say or most of what she would think would be targeted behavior, which would make her ultimately a problem. And I had other friends and we would talk and things would happen and not all of them would turn out perfectly. But all of us kind of knew what we wanted from life and knew that we could achieve that. And even though we did things that were fun that we might have second guessed later in our lives, we never tried to ruin any of our lives, and we never tried to overwhelm each other or suffocate each other with expectancy of gaining, because it's almost like popularity became a trade. it was like, to be popular, you had to know certain things, and you had to be a part of certain groups, and it had to be more than one. But at the same time, nobody really knew what was going on. And popularity was always the same as it is in the movies, and it was always never that complicated. And I never understood why she had to make it seem so complicated. It was about clothes and decor and jewelry and status. It was always about the same thing. And she never lacked anything. And their motivation was to make people mad. Not necessarily hurt their feelings or make them upset, but I hung out with her and her friends too. And most of her friends, like, they hung out with each other. But it was a clique, so it was considered popular still. I didn't want to fucking be in a clique. I didn't want to be in any of that shit. But I ended up in one any fucking way. And it happened to be the most popular, and I just happened to have been the most popular. And it happened to have not been the first time. And it wasn't something that, it's like, status was what was popular. It would vary. Granted, it was kind of always my friend group that was popular. That was the most relevant. Like, people had the most secrets about them. We were known for having the most secrets. They would make up the most rumors. It's like, people would even pull stunts, like, on social media and stuff like that. Like, they would make second accounts and act like different people. It was like the teacher's favorite concept. And there was a point in that class that we had where she was the teacher's favorite, but that was when she made fun of her the most. And it made me question, because the teacher, she had looked at me one day a certain way, and it was as if she was like almost hinting at something, at an entire point to be made. And I didn't consider she could do anything to hurt my feelings. But I felt like it was more important for me to be her friend because of social status than it was to pretend to tolerate the idea of pretending to like her as anything more than like a associate. So, I mean, the people you associate with are your friends, so that's kind of the same thing. But, like, I don't fucking think that anybody would want to associate with somebody that's kind of like, and it's not fake because it's who they truly are and it's how they really feel. They only interact with people sometimes for their own entertainment, and that's what I noticed about her, and that's a characteristic that I definitely picked up from her for a while. But I never used it against her because I never saw that she would ever do anything to deliberately hurt my feelings. I don't really pick and choose my friends based on what other people think. If I have a friend, obviously, that has a strong opinion about something that happened or how someone acts about a specific situation or a specific topic that bothers me, then I don't really consider them my friend. That would kind of be obvious. For her, it wasn't. I don't think it's possible to break someone's spirit. But to say that her passion was impacting people in a negative way, and I definitely had an impact on that. And it changed, as a matter of fact. Would be a fucking understatement. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I choose it by words according to approval. But there's a matter of right and wrong, and that should always be respected. And coming from someone who lives on a moral high ground, I don't fucking believe the disrespecting people for no reason is a sport. But you can show respect for people that you don't have respect for out of respect for yourself, because it's what's necessary and what's expected. Considering our hospitality. I believe that I'm capable of more because I do have privilege. But I believe that the respect that I get from people is definitely fucking earned. And I value it, and I don't choose to degrade people for doing the same thing. You know, I feel like if the dude wanted to watch anime porn and FFA and they were over there, like, popping cows' nuts off in front of us and the dude got arrested for it, I had every right to laugh. Like, of course he would be watching anime, because what the fuck is wrong with them? Like, that's the only... There's certain things about life that are undeniable factors. Undeniable factors. She would always judge me for certain stuff, like, and when I say she would judge me, I mean, like, the girl had a system and a pamphlet in her head of what it is to be a female, what it is to be a woman, and if you didn't meet every aspect of her criteria, if you didn't meet every aspect of her criteria, then you weren't, like, suitable as a wife. As if another grown woman is gonna determine what makes me suitable as a woman. Because personally, I don't consider being a wife one of the things that makes me a woman. But I'm not a feminist. And she called me a sadist. I don't regret being her friend. I would never think twice about being her boyfriend's friend. I had expectations for her as my friend, and most of which included like hey, call me every week at least once or twice, even if it's for like 3 minutes, to let me know that you're cool, that everything's fine. Because anytime she wasn't talking to me, she was talking about me. I had a blanket that she gave me. It was purple. Um, I never compared my relationship with my mother to anyone's relationship with their mother, because my mother's a very dark person, and she's very complicated to understand. But she's not a bad person unless she doesn't like you. And I don't poke bears, but obviously, if you have a fucking taser and someone's like coming at you, what are you gonna do, right? Literally. It was always about Alexia, though. Every fucking problem that she had with me was because of Alexia. Why are you friends with Alexia? You're prettier than Alexia. You're smarter than Alexia. You're probably gonna have a car before Alexia. You know I'm younger than you, right? But Alexia... Is Alexia younger than you? Oh my god, it just went on and on and on and on and on. And I would just tell her over and over, like, no, these things that you think that you know about me aren't always conclusive to horrible shit that you're wishing upon me. And I was like, if this is what you want for yourself, cool. Nobody could save you, and that makes you so fucking different, except it doesn't. And the only thing that was making her fucking different is the fact that she refused to, she wouldn't admit when she had a crush on somebody, or when she would cheat on her boyfriend. And she would always fucking blame him for it. And then it was like, she told me one time that if I was her friend, that the guys would always treat me how she treats him. And I didn't understand that. because it was impossible. Like, according to my atmosphere. It's like there was this thing going around that said that everybody gets what they deserve. And she started like saying, I deserve to die, I deserve to die. And she was like, well, it's gonna be a trend, yada yada. And she would say random horrible things, and she would say that they're gonna be a trend. I've been modeling since I was really, really young. I think I was like 8 years old the first time I was on Vogue. She would fetishize things, and she would say things that I knew, ideas that I knew that she got from me. And then she would say that she would pretend that she would hate her. And she would say that I would try to copy her. I always noticed that was girls' favorite thing to say, is that they were being copied. Like, doing basic things like your hair and your fucking makeup every day isn't something worth being copied. You know, and I wouldn't have spent so much time studying it with my grandmother teaching me. Both my grandmothers, all of my grandmothers teaching me. One of my grandmothers, 2 of them, maybe even 3 of them were models. But they think it was all about being perfect or something, but it was no, it's like I have to have a fucking conclusive outfit. It has to be a compilation of thoughts and shit that's gonna make sense and literally set a feasible texted example of who I am in every aspect, every fucking day, and I had to somehow come up with a way to find that out, to figure that out. And so I did it through my feelings more than anything. As someone who's accused so much of not having any. My cousin has very malicious thought patterns also, but we get along very, very well. And we have a lot in common. We didn't get to see each other for a very long time. And we go time period after time period without seeing each other. I don't know. I didn't ever not have anything. And I always wanted the people around me that I could share everything that I did have with without it being stolen from me or fucking perverted or abused. So I didn't fucking know a life where I was treated as any less. I don't fucking believe in successful people that are bad people. I believe in scams and con artists. I believe in tragedy and chaos and mass destruction. I believe that you cannot deem a human a problem and expect it to be solved. I wholeheartedly believe that for a human to be a problem, it's inhumane and it must be destroyed. You know, I believe in trust and telepathy and there's psychics, and there's people that are telepathic, and then there's people that are psychics, telepathic, and there's another word for it. What the fuck is the other word? Gosh, shut up. Fucking. There's another word. I swear. Oh. Psychics, obviously, those people can like predict the future, right? And then telepaths, there's a word for being able to read someone's mind, and then there's a word for being able to communicate telepathically, and I can't remember the fucking word right now. So it's just like there's a lot of change. It's very common. There's a lot of changing that goes on in my life. There's a lot of redirection. There's a lot of demons and the way that they manage things. If you've ever seen Narnia, you know that animals are considered demons, like animals that you're extremely attached to that refuse to leave your side. They can mirror you in certain aspects, and they're considered demons. But they were called daemons. And then there was Demon. But when I heard that voice say that, it was almost as if it was her in her head pretending to be someone else. Saying things in a third person perspective. You know, to try to get my attention or scare me into finding a way for her to be able to accomplish her goal and apparently making me commit suicide. So no, I don't find it ironic that somehow or another she did commit suicide, but would I consider myself responsible for this girl killing herself if that's what happened? Or her texting me and telling me that she's gonna kill herself? Because she's only threatening to do these things for the sake of my fucking feelings. Like, I have a friend that would blame it on her passion to ruin my reputation. But nonetheless, this bitch has not a damn one of her own, so it would be hard for her to interrupt. Like, there's just certain things that you have to have a certain amount of achievements to have common ground with other people on to be able to get through certain tasks and points in life. That if you don't have these qualities, you cannot accomplish the goals that you set out to accomplish. And when you're a person like she is, no one else fucking values those goals, and you have no fucking support or loyalty. And when you think that it's admirable for children to be idolizing sex, that's when you become a questionable human being. So, you know, don't speak as if you're gonna burn someone at the fucking stake because you feel like they value themselves and their life more than you, because you don't know what they did to get where they are. You don't know the tasks that they had to complete or the people that they had to impress. And for a lot of people, they don't know what it feels like to be alone in anything or accomplish anything on their own. So the thought of something attainable being almost price tagged as something that has to be accomplished, like happiness, for example, and how apparently you have to be in a relationship to be happy, and they have multiple phases where like people aren't accepted. And this isn't cow print, by the way, it's leopard print. But anyway, have to be accepted by people that don't have any status. So a lot of times you have to fight for what you actually deserve, because there's people that will try to get in your way, and they will act as if they're a good person and play as much of a role as they can possibly play, up until a point where they come face to face with who they are and what they're capable of, considering their given conditions. I'm gonna go get the last donut and I will be right back. For a regular vanilla fucking donut? Holy shit. This is really good. Okay. I don't know. To have your friend bring up polygamous versus monogamous relationships as somebody that's been in a relationship for a very long time. It gives off the impression that each of the other ones are cheating, right? Like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Well, she went to school with other pretty girls. Like Tristan. And I'd be lying if I said Haley, but she had like cute aspects. Like her boyfriend, for example. She insisted on sacrificing her entire fucking life to Satan. She's not an inspiration for anything. She's a horrible liar. And it's almost as if people will target people and then try to make themselves a victim for attention, and then they go about trying to put themselves in other people's same situations, in the same shoes as a metaphor. But it never they never get the answers that they're looking for. So I encouraged her to talk about it and ask what specifically it was that she She did only date one guy. And I did have like 4 boyfriends in high school, so. And a sneaky link. What do you mean? I really wish I could remember what that word was. Because I hate the word psychic. But there's another opposing word to clairvoyant. And those 2 words are probably my best description. I have scars on my body. They're very, very thin cuts and they heal very fast. But it was definitely an emotional thing to go through. And it wasn't something that I was proud of involving in. But it wasn't necessarily that I involved her in the act. It was more so that she found out about it and insisted on fucking copying it. So start there for something to copy. I felt like I had too much pressure on me in a literal sense, and it became physical, and I felt like the only way to literally see what was wrong with me was to do that, and it was really fucked up. Because I felt like I was malfunctioning physically because of my emotions. And I think that I was right. I think that a medicine that somebody gave me at school did something to my blood. Or on the bus, not necessarily at school, and it made me start questioning that. But over time I healed from it. But one thing I noticed about her is that her blood was a lot thinner than mine, and she was a lot less mentally healthy. It was almost as if it had been watered down. But like, the fuck did she just say? And like I do that every now and then because she haunts me. I don't like people that try to take credit for things that other people have to work really fucking hard for. And do a lot of like practice and self-discipline to obtain, especially when it comes to achieving goals that are liable. I don't know. I never really copied people's mannerisms, but I always copied certain like subjects of interest, if that makes any sense. And then I would notice like other people would start to do the same thing that I did, and then it would become trendy, and like music that I never thought that people would listen to would become trendy on TikTok and stuff. I used to listen to a lot of indie music though, and I would show her a lot of different music. But she had a very specific taste. And I was very, 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 very diverse. And I don't know. I was taught different religions and different practices, and I learned things from different perspectives. I didn't expect manipulation to ever have to be one of them, but I was prepared when I realized that it was. But it becomes a skill over time, and then people can't hurt you with the things that they try to convince you. But if you smoke weed, you need to learn how to do it without gaining a fucking speech impediment. So I don't know, dude. I feel like me and my friends did everything that we could to set a good example for our fucking community and for the things that we stood up for and believed in. And there were kids that were treated differently. There was a lot of racism at our school. There was a lot of like groupiness, like there was fucking cliques. There was expectations put on everybody, and I was really fucking popular, but it was like a rumor that I wanted to be a porn star, but it was true. But I don't remember like who I told that to, and I remember I kind of explained it a little bit when I did tell them. And then like people started doing crazy things, like hooking up and videotaping it and all kind of shit. And like there was this girl in one of my classes, and her name was Emma, and she did. And then there were like girls that had crushes on me, and a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that happened. There was this girl, her name was Tori, obviously. It's just like, I don't know, the older I got, the more serious my life got. And then my social status became important because I started influencing people. And I realized that I had to have something about myself that was a greater value than what I was doing with my body. Because it wasn't just porn. Like, I wanted to dance. I wanted to sing. I still wanted to play the piano. I don't know. All of my friends have like standards, and then like we all go out of our way to meet each other's expectations and do research about like each other and our own backgrounds. And and I just like, I didn't want to graduate and get married. I don't want to graduate and have kids. I didn't want to graduate and like move to the fucking city. I was already a model. I just didn't know how to fucking make a career out of it. A lot of my friends were too. Like, and they still are, like, a lot of the people that I even communicate with every fucking day. There's so many different perspectives and things that I do, though. It's like, god damn. Like, I used to skate. I have a really large friend group, and they're not, I just have, a lot of different things to think about and talk about that I really don't. And I was like, started smoking weed. I had to figure out a way to talk about it. But, I didn't fucking, I don't know. I went to church. Church was a really important part of my life for a very long time. And I know that's really confusing. But I just like, I wanted to learn something that would be valuable for my entire life, and that would be like spiritually teaching, if that makes any sense. Because I felt like if I could figure out how to if I could figure out how to like shapeshift and I'm just kidding. I would never fucking be mean to somebody or like hurt their feelings unless they were threatening me. So I feel like that's a question that needs to be asked when they're taunting all these fucking girls for bullying girls. And some of these bitches, like, I wouldn't want, like, you know how many girls, like, do shit like finger themselves to other girls? A lot. Even when I had crushes on girls, I never did some shit like that. But I swear to God, it's just like certain people to think that they would do that. Or anybody really, because if the personality's not there, you know, if the chemistry's not there at all, it shouldn't be taking place. It shouldn't take place. There should be some kind of chemistry. Something. I like smoking these more than I like smoking cigarettes. Is she referring to the plane or my ex? Like, you can't tell somebody they can't be emo because they're black. And she was like, yes, I can. I was like, bitch. I wonder if the cigarette still lights. These are so gross. To an 11-year-old. Bro, I met 21 Savage. But anyway, it's things like that I would tell her. She would be happy about it. So I don't know why. I told her that I could never come up with a reason. We literally... there's no cognitive reason. You can't blame somebody for having something that you don't have. Because maybe that thing that they have, they don't deserve. That was the lesson that I had to learn. Because maybe blaming somebody isn't necessarily... isn't necessarily the answer. Oh my goodness. What would she want me to record? She would want me to record my whole fucking life and never send her the video so she can convince me that she found it and made fun of the whole fucking thing. That's the life of a popular girl that has to fucking defend herself on a regular basis. That's the life of a popular girl. And what's popular the most is being a slut. And it's like, you're not valid. Unless that's what you want. I don't know. It's about being pretty. Oh my god. It's really about the black girl that dated the white guy. If she didn't even like him in real life. She dated him because she could prove that it's possible to do it. But little did she know it was more than possible, and it was all just a big ass trick of degrading somebody to make them feel like you're the only thing that can make them happy. That's what they do. They break you down and break you down and break you down. And they tell you that they're the only thing that can make you feel better. But you don't need to feel better. You just need to feel like yourself. So, if you're gonna do what's socially acceptable and make the best of what you have, and you create your character, to the best of your ability and the most of your knowing, because other people need you. Other people need you to be you, for them to be happy. And the people that really love you and need you don't expect you to act like anybody other than yourself, because there is nobody in the world that could replace a soul.